What's up, guys? Silver here with another Halo Infinite Achievement Guide. This time we're doing part 6 of our Halo Infinite LASO walkthrough. So start this up. This is going to be a very skip-heavy mission. We'll start running forward, and we will go towards the left. There's going to be a hologram of Escharum. He's going to be talking a lot of smack. He's not going to be able to back it up, though, once we get up to him at the end of this mission. But just go through the left door and immediately go to the far side of the room. And we are going to get out of this room by doing a little bit of that grapple ground pound action, which is the third upgrade to the grapple shot that we obtained towards the end of the previous walkthrough. Once we get to this side of the room, you can see this is the door that actually opens up to the next part of the mission once we clear out all the waves of enemies. But instead of doing that, we're going to grapple up here. There's two narrow ledges on this wall, and we're on the second one. We're on the top one. And once we get up here, you can see there's kind of three nubs that kind of wrap over the top of the ledge here. You want to back up to one of the outside ones, so I'm going to back up to the one on the right. And while crouching and having my back to one of the outside nubs, I want to look back at the other two nubs and have my reticle in between those two. Grapple and then immediately hit the melee button. That will get you to do a ground pound maneuver, which will actually send you through the geometry you're standing on if done correctly. I'll show it again in slow motion. We are crouched and we are backed up against the nub behind us, and we are placing our reticle right over that center nub, but not enough to actually hit that far nub. Grapple, hit the melee button, it'll ground pound and send you through the geometry, so we are now outside of the map. Then we'll just move to the right, so we drop down onto this tunnel that we would have walked through after we cleared out this room and the door opened up, but we want to wait here for a little bit until after Escharum says start this fight and the siren starts going off. So I wait for the siren to start beeping a couple times, run to the end of the tunnel and crouch up against the elevator there at the base of it, and then you want to turn your flashlight on and start grappling up this thing, and you want to stick as close as you can to the elevator while you're going up here, because if you go too far, you will freeze, you'll get soft locked. If you get soft locked, you could always just restart the mission, so it's not too bad. But you can see I got warped into the elevator, which happens from time to time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. If you get warped in, that's great. If you don't, if you're stuck on top of the elevator as you're kind of grappling up, you'll actually have to get back into the map at some point. And there's a lot of ways to do that, but the easiest way that I found to do this, I've seen other people do it in different ways, and I've done it in different ways too, but I found the most consistent one is while you're standing on top of the elevator, you want to move up a little bit and then go towards the right. There's going to be a corner over here, and you're basically going to walk over to this part of the map. You can see the elevator's right there. There's a kind of a hallway down below to the left. But you want to position yourself on this wall, and you want to line up your reticle so that it is kind of along this line on the ground right there. To be clear, the line I'm talking about is right here, and you want to place your reticle about here on the line. I've circled it and placed an X right about where you want to put your reticle. Doesn't have to be exact, but that's the general area you want to be at. So from the left, you basically want to be about 75% of the way down the line from left to right. So you want to end up right about here, right where that marking was that I showed you. And then you just want to look up, and then you want to put your reticle on this point right here on the bottom right edge of this piece of geometry that you could see. So I circled my reticle in yellow just to make it a little more clear where it is. Might be tough to see on smaller screens. But then we want to do the same thing we did earlier. We just want to grapple and then hit melee, and we ground pound right back into the map, and we can now proceed to the next part of the mission. I like to go back and touch this door where we would have come through if we took the elevator, just to make sure we hit all the load zones. And we will head into here, and we're going to do the exact same thing to escape this room like we did in the first room. So we're going to head to the other side, grapple up to the second of two narrow ledges over here above the door, and then we will back up to the nub, one of the outside nubs over here, crouch, throw our grapple shot right over the middle one, but not hit the far one. Ground pound, and we will get through this geometry again. We'll wait here again for the dialogue to finish from the area where we just came from. You definitely want to hear him say, dismantle your spirit, and sometimes you hear him say, prepare yourself for the end as well, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes that's cut off because you activate this hologram in here, and he starts talking, even though you can't even hear that hologram in particular. But we'll move over here, crouch up against the base of the elevator, grapple up the elevator without straying too far because we don't want to soft lock ourselves. And one thing to note is you can't actually have the flashlight out when you have the tank gun out. So you want to have your sword out so you could actually use the flashlight. Kind of a weird thing with the tank gun. One of the small limitations with the tank gun. But you can see in this particular playthrough, I got warped into the elevator yet again. So that's always nice. It prevents you from having to get back in the map, but it's easy enough to get back in the map. We know it's not a problem at this point. So from the elevator, we'll turn to the left. If you're facing the elevator, turn to the left. We'll go over here, line ourselves up in the exact same way as before when we did this on the first level, or I guess we were on the second level at that point. But we will line ourselves up with that line, and then we will look up once we get our position about 75% way down the line from the left to the right. We'll look up, and we'll put our reticle on that same exact spot, and we will ground pound in there, And now we want to go touch this door. It seems to matter more that you touch that door to the elevator the second time you come through this same geometry than the previous time that we touched it when we went through the first time. But just touch them both times and you'll be good. Before we start our fight with Jaga or Domina, we want to make sure that we have our dynamo grenades equipped. We want to make sure that we have our threat sensor available, and we want to make sure that we have our tank gun out. So this is one of the rare times where I suggest actually activating something with the tank gun out, because we want to make sure we could shoot right away, right off the bat, right when we start this fight. So that's what we have available here, the dynamo, threat sensor, and the tank gun. We'll activate this because there's no guns to accidentally pick up and exchange our tank gun accidentally. So we will pick this up, skip the cutscene if you want. Right when this fight starts, you want to throw down your threat sensor in the middle of the room and shoot your tank gun just to kind of get him away from you at first. And you want to back away from him and go towards these stairs on the side of the room, because he will not actually approach you from these stairs, and he won't chase you down the stairs. So it gives you kind of a choke point to funnel him into. And then once you damage him enough with the tank gun, he will disappear entirely. He doesn't just cloak himself and then kind of hide somewhere. He's actually totally unavailable to be damaged at this point. He's just kind of despawned. And then after some dialogue, he spawns back in, and you could attack him once again. You could see while that was happening, I threw down a threat sensor on the right side and the left side, so I'm pretty much covering this whole entire ship, whatever we're in right now. And you can see I threw down a dynamo grenade as well. I kind of got him to follow me towards the stairs, and then threw a dynamo grenade down to stun him, and then I smacked him to get my shield back up. That is an option. Not really necessary to get shield at this point, because the Eshram battle is going to be a joke pretty much, but we will take him out, and we could exchange our sword for his sword. We now have a blood blade. Not really 100% necessary, but we could finish out the final mission or two with style here. So another thing I did is each time he despawned and had some dialogue, I just reset my threat sensors, because I have unlimited threat sensors, so I could just shoot them out whenever. So just to make sure they didn't expire mid-battle, whenever there was a lull in the action, I just threw down a threat sensor on the left side and the right side of the ship. And we will move on to Eshram now. This situation especially, I recommend having the tank gun out and ready to fire right off the bat. Right when the cutscene ends, you want to fire that tank gun, because Eshram is going to be right in the path of that bullet, and it's going to send him flying into the back wall and splatter him and kill him instantly. So make sure you have your tank gun out before you activate the controls there to trigger the cutscene. And it's pretty hilarious if you let the cutscene play out, because Eshram has this big, boastful, grand speech and then dies immediately afterwards. Can't get any better than that. Kinda has the same energy as Hulk slinging Loki around like a rag doll at the end of Avengers. This one-shot kill works most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't, but if it doesn't, just allow yourself to be killed by Eshram and then just try again. I would say 90% of the time it's a one-shot kill. Sometimes, for whatever reason, he does not die in the one-shot, but there he is. The funny part about this is the encounter actually still plays out, so he'll get his shield back even though he's dead. But you don't need to worry about any of that. All you need to do is go to the console over here and trigger the cutscene to finish this mission. And you don't need to worry about the status of your shield. Even if you have no shield left, it will fully recharge when you spawn into Silent Auditorium, so you'll get a checkpoint. And you may have noticed that the next mission, Silent Auditorium, is not the last part of this series, even though it's the last mission in the campaign. It's only part 7 of 8. So don't just finish the last mission and think you're done. Since we skipped so much of the campaign, it actually won't pop the LASO achievement upon completion of Silent Auditorium. So there's one more thing we need to do after Silent Auditorium to get it to pop. So definitely stick around for the last couple guides where I show you how to do that. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found that video helpful, be sure to click on the scorpion icon to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You could also check out some related guides by clicking on the videos on screen, and you could find links in the description for other social media links of mine. Stay tuned for more Halo guides, and I'll see you in the next one.